Hi, everybody. I'm Michal LeBaron. I'm your host in Wholehearted Healing, the Chronic Illness Solution. And my favorite thing that I do in the group is have special guests come on and share about their healing experience so that you guys can see and get hope and get inspiration and learn about what's possible and what it looks like to heal. And so what I'm so excited is we haven't done an interview yet around cancer. And it's kind of a big, scary buzzword that gets thrown out. And statistically, you will get cancer or somebody you know will get cancer. So I'm really excited that Ginny is willing to come on and be vulnerable and share her journey through healing cancer and beyond, and healing beyond that. And so yeah, I'm excited to dive in today. A little background for those of you who are new. I went from bedridden for years to fully healthy and vibrant as a wife and a mom. And that's what I love to teach. So I've been teaching for 13 to 14 years. I think this summer it's 14 years. I've been teaching people how to address the root cause of chronic illness and pain and autoimmune disorders. And to this day, all my illnesses, symptoms, and conditions are gone. So today, Ginny's going to share about her story and journey of getting our support through cancer. And then she's actually about ready to graduate our advanced health program, which has basically become symptom-free in a few months and not need any more supplements, restricted diets, ongoing therapies, adjustments, all the stuff that we think we need to be healthy. So hopefully we'll have her back for a great interview, here in a month or so to hear her journey on healing beyond cancer. But today we just wanted to kind of get vulnerable and talk about cancer because it's something that a lot of you or people in your lives struggle with. And it can be really scary and difficult thing to navigate in the medical system, in the holistic healthcare system. So anyway, hopefully you'll get a lot of inspiration and hope from Ginny and her story. So thanks, Ginny. I didn't prep you for this, but do you mind just telling us a little bit about yourself, like you're a wife and a mom and where you live on the planet, just so people know you're a real human, just like them?
Yes, I'm a human. I live in Idaho. And I'm a wife and a mom of 3 kids, ranging from 13 down to 9. And I'm a business owner and at the moment also homeschool 2 of my kids. So very busy.
Busy mom.
Yep.
Thank you. Good for you. So I just kind of came up with some questions that I thought would be helpful for you guys listening and for Ginny to talk about. You guys have any more questions that come up, feel free to put them my way. But Ginny, first question is, how scary can it be to get the diagnosis of cancer?
It's very scary. And you kind of go through a little bit of a fog at first with the possibility aspects of it. In my case, they didn't think that I had it. But then when they went to do that biopsy, the guy was like, oh, we're just going to take, 2 samples here and a sample over there. And he took the first sample out and doubled the amount he was going to take. And I thought, oh, I knew right then what it was going to turn into. And then I got the phone call from the doctor the next day, and he's like, so do you know why I'm calling? And I go, yeah, I'm pretty sure I know why. You don't usually call, usually send postcards that everything's good. So yep. And the faster they do things, the scarier it is, because if they're not worried about it, they move slower. But if they're worried about it, they move really fast. So that part can be a little scary too.
Yep, a whirlwind.
Mm-hmm.
Whirlwind, yep. How difficult was it, or confusing maybe, for you to try to navigate what approach would be best? I know you kind of when we first talked about it, it was like, I've got to do everything natural, or do I not do any of it? And just all the information out there didn't seem very reliable or make sense. So yeah, how difficult or confusing was it to pick an approach or sort through all of the different options?
Yeah, there are so many options out there, and just finding out that there's so many different situations. Like just because one person has cancer and the other person might even have the same type, it's not the same. And so what works for one person doesn't necessarily work for the other person. And you don't really realize that until you're the one sitting in the doctor's office talking about it. Like I had no idea. I just thought that breast cancer was breast cancer, but there's like a million different details that go into it, and each person's situation is so different. That was new. I had no idea.
Yeah.
And the medical treatment and the natural treatment that can work for a particular situation is really different. So you're not just like learning about the different treatment options, but you're learning about all the different types and how your particular situation fits. And then you move on to like what all the treatment options are and what the outcomes are expected, and information that I wanted to find. And this is one thing that was really helpful working with you, Michal, is because I was like, oh yes, I need to do this naturally. That's, what I thought I preferred. And I just looked all over the place for information that would fit my situation, and I just could not find it. And so Michal was kind enough to help me and sort through and help me think through what was supportive for me. And I discovered that it really wasn't supportive for me to do it the natural way. And I had to really think through that. That was hard for me to hear because of course that's the way that you want to go.
So
You think that it's going to be easier, but I can see even after completing the medical treatment, I would have had a much harder time doing it naturally, just because of, and I'm a really disciplined person, or so I thought, but I just needed like a lot of hand holding during this, and like live people that I could physically go into and have access to things. And then just having an insurance company that's willing to, pay for all of that. So there was a lot of different angles to look through, from just emotional and physical, insurance, support from my family, that I had to think through. The decision wasn't as simple as I initially thought. But it was really nice working with Michal, because she could kind of help me wade through everything and find what was going to be the most supportive way to go about it. And it was really nice because I did end up choosing the medical route, but I also worked with Michal through the whole process. And thankfully my doctors were good with that and open to it. And there was open communication between the two. And it was really fun because everything that I worked with Michal on, like I did not have all the normal symptoms from the medical treatment that people normally get. And the ones that I had, I could deal with without panicking or, getting stressed out, because the tools that I'd worked with Michal in previous programs, I actually could just put them to practice on the court, so to speak. And uh, it was just very supportive and took a lot of the stress out of it. So
I love what you're sharing, Ginny, because every person is unique. And we say that about every situation, not just cancer, and certainly not just breast cancer. It really is true for every single person. And I think beyond cancer or autoimmune disease, which cancer is, there is so much information out there. And we have a lot of stories or ideas or beliefs or fears about different options. Some people are very conventional minded, and doing anything natural freaks them out. Some people are so scared because of just conditioning or whatever we've learned. They're so scared of conventional treatments and kind of throw the baby out with the bathwater, so being able to really slow down and just have the skills to know quickly, clearly, what is supportive for you, your situation, and be at peace in that. That's a big, I think, overall, like more than just being healthy, like having that skill is one of the main things that we teach, so that as challenges do arise in life, even beyond your health, you're able to slow down and know what is reasonable. We were just talking about that before the recording, but what is reasonable for me to accomplish or to do, or what is supportive or healthy for me and my choices. So thank you for sharing. My next question was going to be, what were the benefits of working with us through your treatment? I think you touched on a few, like simplifying and just knowing what is supportive, mitigating the side effects of cancer is huge. That's what everybody would hope for.
Yeah, the doctors were super impressed with that.
Yeah. There was one more thing I was gonna ask. Oh, didn't you have some friends, well-intentioned friends, sent you some information on how you should treat your cancer?
Yes, and
talk about that.
I was kind of expecting that, because people really do care. And if they see something works, for somebody else, they want to make sure you know about it, which I really appreciated the heart behind all that. And in the past, I would have kind of wavered, and that would have emotionally, I would have had a hard time with it, because I was like, oh, maybe I should be doing this. And I would have kind of waffled back and forth. But because we talked through, what was most supportive and picked the best of both the worlds, and put them together in a way that complemented each other, I felt really strong in the decisions that I'd made for it. And so it was easy to be like, oh, thank you for that information. I'm definitely going to look it over. And I did. I looked it over and I was like, oh, yep. Actually, I am doing this. I'd see that it was part of what I was doing, or I'd look at it and be like, oh, this is good, but I can see where this, really doesn't work with what I'm doing.
I love that clarity. Yep.
Yeah, it just helped me to have confidence in my decision and not rethink it or question what I had decided to do.
Yep, totally. And I didn't know if I'd rabbit trail here, but I will go there. I love all our interviews are we don't plan what we're going to say other than maybe some questions, and we just take it where it needs to go. But, a lot of people, like I said, they're caught up in their beliefs. So they might not go get the medical checkups or the medical tests but we teach that that's a part of just being a responsible person, you know. And then of course you have choices. You're not roped into anything. You can look at your options: natural, holistic, conventional, alternative, functional, and make an informed choice on what is most supportive. But what's beautiful about what we teach is it's not in one method or modality. It's a way of viewing our bodies and understanding our symptoms and what's happening, and what stage of healing we're in. And then we can choose how best to support ourselves or our body. And that could be conventional. There's a lot of wisdom in conventional medicine. And then of course it doesn't work for a lot of people and it misses a lot. So you could say that about any system or tool or modality. So once you have the way of understanding yourself and your body and your symptoms and what are going on, it actually drops the fear, which is more stress, which hinders your body from healing. You know, that's a conflict where you might create new symptoms in and of themselves, but you don't have to respond with stress or with fear. You can come from that confident, grounded, and peaceful place. And that's actually the place that we teach your body and you need to be in order to heal, and not have relapses, you know, of certain conditions or flare-ups of certain conditions. So it's really important to, I think, look at every person uniquely and then pick what is supportive out of all the things. And some conditions, sometimes we suppress different stressors or life events or challenges in life, and we do create new illnesses. And because we're human, that's what happens in our bodies. And at some point, there does need to be medical intervention. And what Ginny is now learning in the advanced health course is how to keep herself fully healthy, keep a body fully in self-repair mode 24/7, and learn how to navigate those major life changes or those stressors or those ongoing challenges in life so that her body doesn't continue to create illness or doesn't shut off her body's ability to heal. And that's where there's a lot of peace of mind. I'm sure we'll talk about that here in a little bit, but I just wanted to put that bug in everyone's ear, because I think there's, you know, if they hear that we're not conventional and we're holistic, there's just a lot of misinformation or misunderstanding about what we teach, because we're so different than conventional, holistic alternatives. We're so different than all of those different fields. So you answered this question: how were your side effects mitigated? Here's the next question. It can be scary to worry about cancer coming back. So how would you describe the assurance you have from the advanced health course that you have tools to know that you're in control of that?
Yeah, part of that was seeing how I had played a part in getting cancer in the first place.
Would
And
you
taking
mind sharing? I know that's vulnerable. No pressure, but yeah, I would love to hear, because that's a powerful statement that I think could trigger a lot of people. Like, what? I gave myself cancer. But I think where there's a lot of control and power and hope is, well, if you can see what led to the creation of cancer, then you can avoid that in the future. Do you mind sharing a little bit more?
Yeah, so there's different things, different triggers in life that can, you know, cause a lot of stress. Part of working with Michal is learning about the different types of stressors, and how they affect us, and how to deal with those. And I had a day where I experienced a stressor, and I had been in the program long enough that I was in the middle of it, and I'm like, oh no, I need to stop this, because this is definitely going to lead to a symptom. And like literally the next week, I discovered the lump. I mean, the connection between, you know, the symptom and what causes it is very, if you know what you're looking for, it's like right there.
It's
But
becomes obvious.
It becomes obvious. Yeah. And so just, and I had to deal with that. Um, and, at first you really run into a lot of resistance, like, how could I, take responsibility for causing that? Like, that's not my fault. But if we take responsibility for it, we get our power back and we can deal with it. If we don't take responsibility for it, then we don't see that we can, deal with the situation and work through it. So that was really eye-opening to me. And, I was in the process of dealing with it. And so I kind of had to, I was like, oh, I'm too late, because it's already in progress. But that just really helped me feel more in control of the situation, because I was like, if I'm the one that caused it, then I can be the one to fix it. And so when I look at, this side of things, and I was given the NED diagnosis, the no evidence of disease. But it was really, if I would have had just the medical side of things, I would have walked out of that appointment really unnerved and scared to death, because with no tests whatsoever, just, the treatment plan is done.
Yep.
And with absolutely no tests, they're like, okay, there's no evidence of disease. And my question was, how do you know that?
Yep.
You haven't run a single lab scan, nothing. They just give you this, okay, treatment's done, no evidence of disease, and they send you on your way. I mean, there's maintenance treatment, but it's just really unnerving. And I remember sitting there going, oh, I'm so glad that I, have this other side that I'm working on, because if I wouldn't have had this, work on this side of things, I would have walked out of that appointment completely hopeless and scared to death. Because just the way they, go about it is very unnerving. I mean, to them, they're like, okay, this is what we're going to do to maintain this status and whatnot. And they, give you your chance of survival, and, they update you and all that. But it's really unnerving. And so I was really happy that I had a way where, because I knew I needed to make major life changes. I was kind of a workaholic, and, just really just powered through everything in life. And didn't do, I really didn't take care of myself. I mean, I looked like I did. I mean, I did all those adult things we do. But I realized,
Took vitamins, took herbs.
yep. I looked on the outside, like I was doing it all. But I realized it was a deeper inner work, and just some skills that I didn't know before working with Michal's. And I don't think that I would have been able to just pick them up out of life, or from reading books, or like, I wouldn't have known what I was looking for. And the other thing that you guys make it really simple, because I'm always trying to complicate everything, and you're like, oh, it's simple, and sustainable. And that gave me a lot of hope. Like when I walked out of that doctor appointment, I was like, it's okay. I'm going to be okay because, they have their plan and it's supportive on that end, but I have this other plan to continue. It's kind of like a whole change of living life that I've been working towards. And I'd say cancer kind of just, up the ante and made it a little more important in my life. I was like, oh, this is like something that if I want to live a good long life and have it be, not just checking things off a to-do list, but actually living life and experiencing it. And I'd have to say on this side of things, it's been a lot better. And I wish I wouldn't have had to have gone through that experience, but I'm not scared of cancer coming back just because there's things that I know to do to prevent that. And even if I, somehow get myself into that spot again, like I know what to do. And just knowing those two things is just brings a lot of peace and learning how to deal with, the stress of everything. I don't want to go too much into a bunch of lingo, but because I was like, oh, like I can feel that my body has shifted. If any of you guys have watched Michal's, some of her other videos from the, the parasympathetic and the sympathetic, nervous system, it's moving from one into the other, and it's you just feel different even inside, like you physically feel different and emotionally, and it's amazing. So
Yep, we're gonna do, and we will have you on again too, so we can go deep into down that lingo. I'm glad you brought that up. A few things too. You're talking about, I created my cancer. I know how I did it. I know what life events I didn't cope with, and then it festered in my body and created a new illness, and you knew what to do. And for those of you that might be new or confronting or conceptual, I remember kind of hearing, well, you control your body, you control your symptoms. And that was like crazy to me. And so really, like, the soft way that I could say that is what you learn by this healing path is you learn how to control your body and your nervous system and your symptoms and your illnesses. And it's like you have the light switch, you just don't know you did. So you turned on the fight or flight, the survival mode, suppressing and repressing our feelings and emotions and speeding through life and all the things that we do in this society. And that turned on our illness, and our symptoms are just a communication, kind of a reflection of how we are doing. So when you get the switch, whether it's switching the nervous system or whatever the switch is for you, you turn off that switch and your body rapidly repairs. And your symptoms, illnesses, and conditions that should be permanent, your genetic disorders, just kind of go away. They're not relevant anymore. So we do control our symptoms in our body and our nervous system and our health. And that's one of the most empowering things that I could tell you, because in our society, in the conventional medical model and in holistic and alternative medicines, we are told that our symptoms happen to us and that it's a mystery. It's like our body failed. But instead, when you actually understand how your body works and what's going on, you realize, oh, my symptoms have a meaning and a purpose, and they're here for a reason. and my body's trying to accomplish something. What is it? And then you give your body the right support, your symptoms go away. So I also wanted to ask you, I know we'll probably touch base on this in a couple weeks, but how many years before you got cancer did you have warning signs that you were in fight or flight? You didn't know it that way, but that there were chronic symptoms and conditions and that you didn't address. Maybe I know you addressed them with diets and supplements and therapies and different tools and techniques, but because you didn't have this path of healing and understanding of your body, it did eventually fester into cancer. How many years, if you're willing to share?
I'd probably say since my early 20s. And then I had it, and this is the interesting thing too, is I was working with Michal, and I had just graduated from one of her courses, and I usually kept a pretty short leash on my symptoms. Like I'd get the symptom and then I'd be like, oh, I have a symptom. And I'd, look back to see, when it happened and go through that process. But I had one symptom that I went, oh, well, that's weird. But I didn't, for some reason, really think about it too much.
Yep.
And
that's human. We do that. It's not a you thing, Jenny. There's a reason I'm asking this. So yeah.
Yep. And so, it was one of those symptoms where in hindsight, it was like, oh, if I would have addressed that symptom, it probably would not have progressed to the point it did. So it really, even though the foundation was laid in my early 20s, it was kind of like the door was unlocked with that symptom because I didn't deal with it. And then when I had my trigger, my body just walked through the door and was like, okay, I give up. Here you go.
Yeah, and that's so thank you for sharing. My story is very similar. And many of your stories are similar. And I can't tell you how many clients I've talked with, and for whatever reason, usually fear, they chose not to address their symptoms. And I might not hear back about them or from them for years, but I mean, dozens. I always hear the story. So-and-so got thyroid cancer. Now their thyroid's gone, or another lady, she, tried some herbs and she's actually a massage therapist. She wouldn't dive deeper and deal with the root cause of her symptoms. She actually passed away. I found out just a few weeks ago, like very sad. She had a headache and thought it was normal because she just had headaches, and it was actually a serious problem. She died and her husband found her and she left 3 kids. So the best thing that I can tell you, and I know, Jenny, it's vulnerable to say, I ignored a symptom and then I didn't have to get cancer and I got it. But you guys, that's how this goes. It doesn't ever pay off. It doesn't ever save money. It doesn't ever save time to ignore our symptoms ever. And if we don't address those root causes, our body it's just setting the stage that the next life event, the next triggers, as you're calling it, Jenny, or stressor or life change or challenge in our life, that's just the tipping point. And our bodies really do say, I've had it. We develop our new illnesses. So I hope that in a sobering way, but in a truthful and honest way, you guys can learn from Jenny's mistake, from my mistake. I didn't have to end up bedridden for 2 years, but I just didn't know better. I didn't have this work or know how to deal with my symptoms. And I didn't get the answers from the doctors or the natural practitioners. But I hope you guys take this to heart to say, golly, maybe I'll start addressing my symptoms now so that it doesn't develop into cancer or something else, or it doesn't get worse, or I don't continue developing new illnesses. And I promise 100% of the people that I talk with, that for whatever reason, they want to wait, they want to push it off. They're just, maybe it can't work for me. maybe I want to save up for a house instead. I hear so many different excuses, and it's like, that is your choice, that is your prerogative, but I'm just letting you know it doesn't, as far as your health is concerned, it's not going to get better. It's only going to get worse. So if
It doesn't wait for us.
wait for us and it comes at the worst time, and there's no right time, circumstances are never right in our life to heal. We have to put our health first. And then once we're healthy, everything else will work out, I promise. So thank you for sharing that. The other thing I wanted to mention is too, we have a team. So it's not just me, and I know Jenny's talking about me, but she's working with one of my teammates, Josie. And we have other coaches that have different specialties, so that, everyone is different. And so even if you guys talk with me, my job is to figure out what you need, whether it be me, one of my colleagues, or something else entirely. As Jenny said, we encouraged and supported her to do the right thing, which wasn't just us, and we supported her, but she needed some other things to get better and get better quickly. So it's not about one way, one size fits all. It's about you guys getting clarity on exactly the next steps to take for your healing. So I guess one last question, Jenny, unless if there's anything else you want to share. Of course, we hope to hear from you when you're graduated this next program of living life in the parasympathetic. And I wanted to thank you for sharing your story with cancer. Is there anything else you want to tell people who have cancer, or who might need this support? What do you want them to know about the journey, cancer, what's possible?
Yeah, it can, when I think about cancer, when I first got diagnosed, and then even now, because it's just been a handful of months since I got my NED status, is that it's really overwhelming and stressful, and a lot of fear, and it can paralyze a person, with all the options and thinking. So I would highly encourage people to just reach out to Michal and see what your options are, and because you just never know, it might be that one thing that helps get you through. I really can't imagine doing it without their support. It just made it doable for me to even just be able to talk to somebody, and that isn't what's the word, that has preconceived ideas about how things should look, because you want to be able to make choices for yourself that are supportive, and so that when you look back, you can be like, yeah, that was the right decision, and you can feel confident moving forward, and having a plan. It really helps you feel more in control of the situation, and just more secure. So
Thank you. Yep. And that's critical. Like for us, that's critical, because the conflict of even getting a diagnosis, enough that that's one more thing that is added to our plate, and we typically don't cope with that. And Jenny, what you're saying reminded me of walking you through the journey, and I remember a little symptom or side effect popped up, and you said, if I wasn't secure or know that this was the most supportive for me, I would start freaking out, or was this the right choice, or maybe I stop and do a natural thing, or it's like you were able to stay steady. You were steady through the course, and you walked from front to finish, no bumps in the road, and got to put it behind you. And most people that I see that don't have this work, gosh, they suffer with side effects and symptoms from cancer for years. And they do
Mhm.
detox after detox for the treatments, and then they're like, that's what the medical treatment's what killed you, because I feel so sick now. And with you, it's like, nope, we put that all behind you. You walked forward into full health, and you're a few weeks from graduating as fully healthy.
Mhm.
That's what I would hope for any of you. Yeah. So
And to just really, my past way of experiencing something that would have been to just kind of shut myself off and not deal with it.
yeah,
And I think that would have caused more harm in the process and made it harder to go through the treatment. But because having that support helped me stay into reality and actually, um,
feel your feelings.
yeah, because I would have just glossed it over and been like, oh, I'm fine,
We'll get
that,
through this. We'll tough it out. Yeah, I'm the same.
yep.
Yep.
Um,
Absolutely.
and so I really needed that um, support to, not just um, put on a happy face and pretend like everything is fine. Like I could actually be like, okay, yeah, this is a hard day. I'm having a hard time with, just be in reality of what's happening. And um, I just didn't have that skill set beforehand. And so it was really helpful to do that, because you can sugarcoat it and being like, oh, I'm fine. And or you can do the opposite and, not get out of bed and be like, oh, you know. Um, but I wanted to deal with it in an emotionally healthy way. And of course, I had kids and a husband that helped me, want to do it in a healthy way. Because I also wanted to show them, a healthy way of reacting and experiencing something like that.
Good for you.
Um,
Yeah.
because a normal part of being human is experiencing hard things. And
Yeah.
I know that actions speak louder than words. And I could tell my kids, whatever I wanted them to think, but it was really how I was doing it that they would really get the most out of. So it was important for me, not just me, I wanted to be doing it the healthy way for me, but it was important that they see it done in a healthy way too.
Yep. Absolutely. So, for those of you who haven't heard, or if you have, just a reminder, your body rapidly repairs when you stop suppressing and repressing emotions and stress, and you deal with the root cause, and you get the nervous system back into self-repair mode 24/7. And so if you guys aren't with what you're doing, if you're not symptom free in a few months, then obviously you're missing addressing the root cause. So what I teach my clients is to be symptom free and eliminate their autoimmune and other chronic illnesses and pain in a few months without the need for ongoing band-aids, which are supplements and diets and herbs and therapies and chiropractic adjustments and acupuncture and EMDR and TAPI, all the modalities that we use. If we have to keep using them, then we're not fully healthy. And what's so cool is, Ginny, your husband has started working with us because he saw the changes in her and he was like, all right, I need to do something for myself. So it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. So I am available to those of you who are dealing with cancer or any chronic illness or autoimmune condition. We'll get to know each other. I will review your entire, medical history, and I will find clinically what the doctors have missed and what tests they haven't run. But we'll also look on a deeper level to see what are those stressors in life, those life events, those traumas and those triggers that are happening around the start of your illness and that are happening, causing your flare-ups and keeping you in fight or flight and keeping you from being able to self-repair and heal and get back to just being a normal, healthy person. And we'll see what you need. And if you need me, great, cool. We'll talk about what that looks like. If you don't need me and you need something else or somebody else, I will be upfront and honest with you about that, which is why Jenny is in this final phase of her care. She's working with one of my teammates, and that's a win for me because Jenny gets what she needs and she gets to be fully healthy. So whatever you need, we will find it. And I promise you'll get clarity on the exact next right steps for you. So I will post a link to schedule a free consult with me in the comments below. And Jenny, is there anything else you want to say before we wrap up?
Yeah, I know it is one of the probably best investments in myself and my health that I've ever made. And you know, I kind of had to come up with a plan on how I was going to pay for that. But if people are wondering if it's, you know, worth the cost, it totally is. I mean, I would do it again in a heartbeat. It's totally worth it. So that's, you know, something when you're going into something like this, you're like, I don't know. It's, you know, it's a lot of money and I don't know if I'm gonna, you know, get what I need. And, you know, you definitely will. And there are things that you can take into life and apply in all the areas of your life, not just health. I've even used the principles in the business that I have. And so, yeah, you'll definitely get your money's worth and then some.
I love that you bring that up. You know, for me, I spent probably close to $50,000 on the diets and the supplements and the doctors and the chiropractors. And one time I added up just what it would cost me to keep up my massage and chiropractic regimen because I needed it for my body and my pain every week for the rest of my life. And it was $178,000. And I started thinking, that's absolutely outrageous. So very quickly, you know, without needing special foods, organic supplements, you know, ongoing therapies, adjustments, treatments, I easily recoup any investment I've made in learning these tools. And my clients feel the same way. And it's fascinating because, you know, we might not work on your career, but so many of my clients get a promotion, have the freedom and the energy to go into business on their own and then make so much more money. Or for some reason, it's like our finances just reflect our health, you know, just like everything. Our marriages reflect our health when we're healthy. Every part of life is affected. And we do now actually offer funding options. So, you know, there should be no reason why anybody can't have this and afford it, whether insurance covers it or not. You know, we have funding options available that make that possible for people. So thanks for saying that too, Jenny. I'm 100%. That's my experience as well. So it saves me so much money in the long run. Now I can invest that $178,000 and, you know, make money off of it anyway, instead of giving it away to chiropractors. Awesome. Well, thank you, Jenny, for sharing. And I hope this is inspiring and hopeful and helpful for those of you in the group. If you know somebody with cancer, feel free to send this to them or put me in touch. And I'm really just here to serve. It's what I do. It's my purpose. It's my passion. And yeah, hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And thanks, Jenny.
Mm-hmm.